Okay, Mataji.
Okay, so we shall start. So this is chapter 3, Karma Yoga, Yoga of Action. So we did chapter, now we are in the chapter 3. Let us pay our obeisance to Sri Radha Radha Govinda. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Nanakashalakaya Chakshumitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utakapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavscha Sri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vittam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadotam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishaka Vinittamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dino Bandho Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desha Tarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna everyone. So let us have just a short recap of what we did yesterday. So yesterday we saw Krishna giving solutions to Arjuna's objections. So Arjuna's objections were that he was very compassionate. He didn't want to fight with his relatives, kith and kinsmen. And then he says there was no enjoyment because they all are killed in the battle and there's no one there to share the success. There's no enjoyment. Then he was fearing the sinful activities because killing his unknown kinsman will be, you will have some reactions. So, and destruction of family tradition in this session. So when he was in this, so Arjuna, Krishna addresses all these arguments. And that he starts off with saying the first one about the kinsman, he says, we are not the body. So here he says we are not the body, but we are the soul. So that is how we come to know who are we. So Arjuna, you are not killing the body, the soul, because the soul is the true identity of all the living entities. Okay, so you are not killing them. It's the body is like a dress which keeps changing from birth to birth. And so the soul cannot be killed at all by any weapon or anything. So that is what he gives him the jnana. Jnana is the knowledge about the self. So who are we? We are the actual. So it starts off with that. So you are not killing. So there's nothing to be feeling bad about thing because they are not killing the soul. You cannot do it. And they have been eternally, they are there before this birth and also in coming birth, they'll always be there eternally, but they may come in different bodies. So transmigration. Then it talks about the enjoyment. He says, you're a Kshatriya, that is your dharma to fight, and you follow your dharma. That means you're as a Kshatriya, you have to do your duty. And if you were doing your duty, you might be killed in the battle, or you can win the war. If you win the war, you will have you will get the kingdom. And if you die in the battle, you will go to the heaven. So there's a win-win situation. So there's nothing to think about enjoyment. That was from material platform he was talking, since a material body platform. So he gives his karma yoga. Then fear of sinful reactions. He says if the work is done as a devotional activity for the Lord, then there is no sin because everything is done for the Lord. So there won't be any reactions on that. So he talks about the dharma, then he says about the activity. If it is done, there won't be any reactions. And for destructions of family, he says, be a role model. You will prevent unwanted population. Varna Shankara means unwanted population, right? So then he when he talks about indecision, he says you have to serve the Lord, all these principles with firm determination. So here he talks about Ashtanga yoga. That is, you have to control your mind, control your senses, and you have to be stira in your decision and your firm decision, whatever you have taken. So that is where Krishna describes in these verses how a person in pure transcendental consciousness is. He is the one who controls his senses. And we saw that thing, no? So this was the thing which we saw. Now, he has given all the solutions. So he addressed all the questions. He was a true, as a teacher, as a best spiritual master. He didn't dilly-dally or wait for the end of the story to give the suspense, nothing. So he starts off giving him, but it was given everything together. So it was all too much for Arjuna. So why is now there's what is he going to say in chapter 3? Let us see. Now Arjuna is confused. So he was confused there about his duty. And he asked Krishna what is best for him. Now he is got confused. He says, if I'm just a soul and not the body and think, why do activities at all? Why not I just renounce and go to the forest? So he thinks that would be much better than sitting here and fighting the battle. Might as well renounce and then go. So then Krishna is giving a roadmap. Why doing prescribed duty is better and how you to perform them without detachment. So he gives a roadmap. And also gives an example that you work for me and also you become a role model for this. But in this endeavor, there will be a lot of obstacles, challenges, and enemies, right? So that also he points it out. So this is what is this Karma Yoga chapter is all. It all talks about the law of karma. So we are entering into that Karma Yoga. So if you want, so he starts off with a query. He says, tell me one, ekam vada, which is most beneficial to me, whether I should take up, because it's a soul and not the body. So why at all do activities? I might as well renounce and go. But you are telling me to fight, because he said, no, it's a do for me, there's no reactions. So he now is confused whether to do the fight, that is do his work, or he can just renounce and go. So he tells me, tell me surely what to do. So anyone like to read the translation? Can go ahead and read. My intelligence is bewildered. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me.
So here buddhi mohavesha. So my intelligence is bewildered. Buddhi mohaveshaiva me etad ekam vada. Now tell me decisively which will be most. See, every time he's telling which is beneficial for me. He's not telling for others. He wants to know specifically for himself what is best. So now Krishna is going to give, and he gives the whether to renounce work or to take sannyas. So this was the query he asked. So now let's see what Krishna is going to say. Karmendriyani samyama ye asti manasa smaran indriyatta vimuddatma vityachara sayuchyate. So who wants to read? Translate. Hare Krishna. Anyone can take up. Vaishnavi, go ahead.
Mataji, yes. One who restrains the senses and organs of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender.
Okay. So now to explain this, Krishna gives many reasons why it is better to work than renounce. Okay, so here we have, I'm going to give you two examples. So this is the example of Bharat Maharaj. It comes from Srimad Bhagavatam scriptures. He is a great personality. Okay, so and what he does is when he reaches around 50 or 55 years, that is when it's time for retirement, he hands over his kingdom and everything to his sons, and he goes off to the forest, has a small kutir, and to do his spiritual austerities, so that he will focus on the Lord and go back to the Lord. So while doing that, one day he meets a small baby doe. There's a deer, where pregnant deer would come to quench his thirst near the river, and just hearing the lions roaring there, it tries to jump and dies, delivering a small baby deer. So when he sees a baby deer there, struggling, so he takes it to the ashram and he starts looking after it. What happens in the due course of time, he starts getting attached to the deer rather than to his spiritual activities. He has left all his kingdom, family, sons, everything, country, to the forest to do spiritual activity. But he has renounced everything. But what happened is he gets got into this attachment to the deer. So that is what this is. Even at the higher level of bhakti, you might have reached your thing there, but still there's every chance of falling down and trying to, you won't be able to control your senses. So here he gets, but later, I mean, then also when he dies, he gets that's what happens to his life. No, then when he's that we'll see when he that one day he doesn't find the deer, and then he goes searching for the deer instead of doing his spiritual practices. He goes behind and searching, and he falls down and he dies thinking of the deer. So in his next birth, he becomes a deer, and then he has to take 2 more births finally to go back to Godhead. Okay, so that is the story of a thing. So even a great personality, there is a chance of you has to be control your senses. But if your mind dwells on the thing, then it is not a true renunciation. Okay, so you do fall. There is another kind of persons who is this. He has atoned the dress of a sannyasi. Okay, and he's a thing, and he says he's now and he has abstained from the work. But what you see in his hand, you see a cigarette, then he's having a mobile and these things. So though he has taken up the sannyas thing, but still he has renounced from work, from the social thing, but still his mind is all dwelling on the sense objects. So this is not true renunciation. The person was very true renunciation, he had gone, but at one point he got distracted by getting attached to a deer. So renunciation. So here what Krishna is pointing out is our soul is always active. So without getting matured, you can't just renounce the life and go. So there will always by renouncing you won't attain the perfection, nor by you not doing the work, you won't get reactions. You will be there will be some bondage. So you need work. Work is required physically because you need to maintain your body and soul. You should not become a burden to the society, right? So not like this person is a burden to the society because he's not even truly renounced, nor and he's still thinking about, his mind is always on the sense objects. But our mind is active all the time. So we need some engagement for that. Otherwise, what happens is mentally, you try to take sannyas, but still your mind will be wandering on all the things. Oh, I wish I'd been there. How I can do so many things. Your mind will keep wandering. So if you need work to keep your mind engaged, and work and spiritual thing, they go hand in hand. It's not that you are mostly things. So by doing work, you can still practice your spiritual activity. So they go on at it. So there's no need to give up work. So Krishna says here, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga, that means he is engaging his mind in the work. The activity is there. So he is engaging it, but he is doing it in Krishna conscious. That means he is doing without attachment. And so that is far superior. So clearly he is very, while clarifying the doubts, Krishna is very clear. He immediately gives you the answer. He says, this is what you have to do. You have to control your senses by the mind and begin your karma yoga. That means do your activities in Krishna consciousness without attachment to the results. So that is much superior than renouncing, and when your mind is still not mature enough, you're still attracted to the sense object. So you're not able to control your senses. So this is what Krishna says here. So you have to do your work, but do it without attachment. That means you're doing it for the Lord. And so that's how he's telling Arjuna, you fight for Krishna, not for himself. So he's doing for Dharma, right? So that is karma yoga. And then, so when we want to adopt this, so here, that means we are doing for the Lord, means it's kind of sacrifice, isn't it? So Krishna continues to tell about the cycle of sacrifice. Here he says, here all the living entities, they want to be in this material world to enjoy. So they have, because they wanted to lord over the thing, he has created this world, and also he has given us the Vedas. So there are 4 Vedas are there, no? Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and all that. And all this Veda is like a manual for us, life manual, where he has given all the instructions, how to live and what are the injections, how to think. And finally, the goal of the Vedas is to go back to the Lord. So that is the ultimate solution. But there is a lot of sections people are there. So if you take a simple activity like farming, because he has given us the earth, he has given us the soil, he has given us the seeds and things, and you can cultivate it and sow the seeds, right? So you can do this activity and and what you need after sowing the seeds and all that, you need to pray to the Lord to give rain. Only then you will be able to grow the crop. So that yajna has to be done. You have to pray for that. See, that is not there in your hands, but you need water, the rains for your cultivation. Once you get it, you will be able to harvest it, right? So once you harvest it, then all this activity, you got the knowledge from the Vedas, how to do, because Vedas has got everything. Even like, for the Ayurveda, and then for medicine, for studying astronomy, math, so many sections are there, including agriculture. So once you have done that, then you need to thank the Lord for giving you the facilities, that the earth, everything for growing the crops and harvesting it. But you are the one who have done it, but you couldn't have done it without all these facilities, right? So you need to offer it to the Lord and thank him. So that is the cycle of sacrifice. That is, you have to thank him to the Lord and offer it to the Lord. So this completes the cycle of things. So this way, when you do any activity, that yajna will purify your activities. That is, you're doing all that in the consciousness that everything is being given by the Lord, and you're offering the fruits of it also to the Lord, saying that it was because of you I've been able to get all this. So this is the yajna. So by doing in this way, you can purify your activities. Now comes to now how I can adopt this. So here in this verse 3.13, yajna sitashrina santo muchyante sarva kilvishai bunjate te hagam papa e pachanti atma kara. So what is he talking here? Who wants to tell?
The devotee. Shall I, ma'am?
Yes, go ahead.
The devotees of the Lord are realized from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin.
So in this verse 3.13, say he talked about the cycle of sacrifice, how we have to offer it to the Lord, and uh, then say it says offer him and thank him for all the benefits you have got. That is what is said in the Vedic injunctions. Now, for a daily life, he says, you are eating. Eating is done by everybody. Food is required for everyone to eat the food for the nourishment of the body. So that activity, if he says, if you can offer whatever you eat, the food which is, if you offer it before the Lord and then take it as prasad, when you take it as prasadam, then the food gets sanctified. Okay, when food gets sanctified, then it will, your nerves and your brain and all get sanctified, and you'll be able to understand this transcendental knowledge much better. That's what Prabhupada has written in the purport also. So, if you offer the food and eat, that is the first as a sacrifice. So, this activity, if you do, that means you're always in the Krishna consciousness. I mean, very act of eating the food itself, we can start off with that. So, but and then he also says, who prepare food for their personal sense enjoyment, verily eat only sin. It's not only this act, any activities which you do without thinking of the Lord, and you think that you're the doer and it is only for your enjoyment, then you'll have a lot of sinful reactions. Okay. So this is what he explains in this about. So, yajnatam karma. So you do everything for the Lord. So, but now when you think about the yajnas which you do, which is, we may not be able to perform the yajnas which was done in other yugas, like in Satya Yuga, then in Dwapara Yuga, then Treta Yuga. But now in Kali Yuga, to do such elaborate sacrifice is not possible. So what is being recommended by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for Kali Yuga is Sankirtana Yagna. That is recommended for the Kali Yuga. And what is the Sankirtana Yagna? To chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this was given by our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Our 500 years ago we had come. So this is his, all the devotees. This is Advaita Prabhu, this is Nityananda Prabhu, and then Gadadhara and Shivasa Adi Gauravata. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhara, Shivasa Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Normally we invoke this Panchatattva thing, so that because we want the blessings of these gurus, acharyas, and before we start chanting our Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay. And this is what is recommended for Kali Yuga. So you can't do the sacrifices as been done, other things. So this yagna. So Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasa Adi Gaura. And also in chapter 10, Krishna says, Yajnanam, Japa Yajnasmi. So Japa Yajnasmi, he recommends there, doing Japa meditation is as good as is also, I am the benefactor of it. So he recommends that even in chapter 10. So now comes the question. So we normally know the meditation means we think it's some physical activity. And so we think it's a physical activity, but is it a physical or a mental? But it's a spiritual activity, in fact. And normally you also do meditation, but you may not meditate with a mantra like this, but you'll be meditating on your problems. When you meditate on your problems, that means it's like worrying. You'll always be thinking of the problem you have, some problem you have, whether which course to take class or which food, I mean, even a simple activity, what time to cook today, anything. So you will have some worry in your mind, So that worrying, if you start worrying on your problem, it's as good like, meditating on your problem. Right? But what is the difference? When you worry on your problem, or you think all the time on your problems, or when you start your day with a meditation. So difference is this. When you worry, it will agitate us. Because the more you're thinking about your problem, you get more and more agitated, and you won't have any clarity. Whereas this meditation which we're talking about, it will pacify us, because you are invoking the Lord's name, and that will work on our mind, and it will give us more calmness. When worry will only confuse us, but meditation will be calmful and we'll be able to have more clarity. And this will exhaust us because you'll be so worried and so worried that, you'll be tiring. Whereas meditation energizes. So meditation will put things into right perspective. So this is one, the Sankirtan Yajna is recommended for Kali Yuga. So now why do we need that? So we need to elevate our consciousness. So this is a picture we have given here. It says how we normally when we will be in this bodily platform, you won't bother about anything. You'll only think of eating, sleeping, just do some activity and just do that. You only think of how to eat, sleep, and enjoy. That's all we'll be thinking. That is, we are in the bodily platform. So we don't bother about anything. Even going to school, we don't like. So that's the thing. Then comes the sensual platform where you'll rise to above, thinking, no, I must do something. I must achieve something. So you will go on trying to do, you'll be in the Rajaguna, you'll be thinking focusing on how to get something, how to achieve something. So there you will be working very hard, to sense gratification. So that is to run around to achieve something. So you will be in the sensual platform. But again, there will be, if you go a little higher, there will be in the mental platform. So where you will start being more calm, you are not thinking about anything about your mental platform is like, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. And for him, satisfaction of the mind is more important. You want to be more calm and you want to than the senses. So he'll be philosophically inclined and he likes soft music and classical. Then he's still in the mental platform. Okay, but you need to go beyond that. That is when you start asking questions. That is when you come to the intellectual platform. That is your consciousness level starts from body, from the senses, then you go to the mental. Then when you come here, then you start asking yourself, why am I here? What is my goal in life? What is it I need to be here? Is it just eating, eating, sleeping? Is that like what the animals do? Am I to do that? Or is there something more to me? And you won't be satisfied with anything. So this is the questions when it comes satisfaction for the mind. Question is for the intelligence. So here you are satisfied with your mind, but your intelligence is questioning you with all that. So only when you start looking, then you will start your spiritual life starts from here. And then when you go up to the spiritual platform, is then a person is very happy. He doesn't bother whether he is in body or what his body is doing. His senses are engaged in the Krishna consciousness. He knows not the body and he is there to do the work for the Lord. So this is how you can, by doing the chanting, japa meditation, you can raise your conscious level from these platforms and you can go higher and higher. Okay. So different levels of consciousness you can look up. So now comes the what action. यद्यद् acharati shreshtas tattad evataro janaha sa yat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartati. Vaishnavi, you can read the translation. Hare Krishna. Whatever action is performed by a great man, common men follow in his footsteps, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world performs. So we were talking about the Karma Yoga. We said Karma Yoga is to be done by for the Lord. Okay. So now how we can practice this? How we can? So we need some role model, is it? So when you have some hero or some person, a great person, then we know, then it's easy to follow him. So if you see somebody performing something, then action, then you can, the common man can follow in his footsteps, isn't it? So a role model, a role person is required for us to look up to him. Then we'll be inspired to do that. But only thing is we should be very cautious in choosing the person who can be our leader. Because the leader whom we choose, we should not be somebody who is not following his own instructions. A person, Acharya should be one. Whatever he is teaching, he should also put it into practice in his life. Only that kind of person you should need to choose as a role model. Mouse fell down, sorry. So that means you need to lead by example, and he shapes the society. We should choose properly, wisely, or the role model. Okay. So then when this is the said, then Krishna is asking, Arjuna is now he knows how to choose and all that, and what is the activity to be done. So, but now Arjuna has another question. He says, but you have said all this, I agree whatever you have said, but there are some times, where something forces me to do some sinful activities. I know it is wrong for me, but something is forcing me to do it. What is that impelling force by which one does the sinful activity? So now Krishna is explaining that Dhumen Vritya Vahanev Etadasho Malena Cha Etalo Garbhastata. So what is that is, he says it's all due to the lust. The lust is what which will pull you into this sinful activity. And then he describes the 3 degrees of lust. What they say? They say that is the greatest enemy. And here he is talking about the lust. There are 3 degrees. One is the fire is covered by smoke. Means there it is, you can still see the fire. No, by properly adjusting the fire, the air and all that blowing, you can remove the smoke. So you can easily cover it. So the fire, but is seen, so you can easily manage it. It is only a degree of small degree. Whereas if the mirror is covered by dust, you can always wipe it. And I know it requires a little more effort, but still you can wipe it, and that is the 2nd degree of lust. Whereas the 3rd degree is one when the embryo is in the womb, that is full darkness. For that to come out of it is very difficult. That is the highest. So by giving these 3 examples, Krishna is explaining the degrees of lust. Usually we had so we are in the human beings are normally in this level, where animals are in this level as the mirror covered by dust, and the plants and trees, they need their conscious level is so much in darkness, so they can't come out of it. So how do we come out of that? So all you can do is we have to avoid the temptation. Otherwise, we cannot control our senses. So in the beginning stage itself, if you can avoid the temptation, then you can take your right decision. So, Indriyani Paryanihahu, Indriyavyo Param Manaha, Manasastu Parabuddhir, Yo Buddhe Parastu Saha. So, what does he say? The working senses are superior to dull matter, and mind is higher than senses. Intelligence is higher than mind, and the soul is even higher than the intelligence. So I think we missed something here. Okay, sorry. So here the sun's working senses, matter, but mind is much stronger than the senses, because it keeps pulling, let me do this, let me do that. It will try to control the senses, but intelligence will try to control, like, saying that, why you want to do that? This is much better. No, it will try to control the mind. But the soul is much even higher than the intelligence. So by changing one, we can go to the higher levels of consciousness. So here, picturally, we are given here. So the senses are these horses. That is, your ears, nose, the eyes, the hand, and your tongue. These are the senses. And those are the horses are your senses. The mind is the rope, which is pulling the horses. And intelligence is the one who is holding the reins. And the soul is the one who is sitting in the chariot. And this chariot is the body. So this is how it is pictured, telling us senses are, because the senses will be going in all different directions. So mind will try to go in whichever thing. You have to control your mind, otherwise you cannot. So intelligence you need to control, but the soul, if you take up the spiritual way, you can easily control it. So the interactions of the consciousness with intelligence, mind and senses is described in this Katha Upanishads, where it says the individual is the passenger in the chariot of the material body, and intelligence is the driver, mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is very difficult to, we need to control our mind and senses. So that is, finally he says, because of the lust, we need to control. Once only by spiritual thing you can control our mind and senses. So we need the spiritual strength for that. Otherwise you will be pulled in all directions. So once finally what we learn here is, in this thing is, we need to work for Krishna, work as a sacrifice to him, then you don't get bonded, and work is better than being idle, and work, you do it so that you can be a role model once you have done that. So finally this is the law of karma. So when Arjuna asked whether you have to renounce or action, he says do the karma yoga, nishkama karma yoga. That means you do it for the Lord, with the for the Lord, work for him. Then that's how when he talked about the karma kanda to karma yoga, he talked about the activities, how it can bind to you, and the different thing, the duties. And then he says, once you have understood all that, you can become a role model, or for common man, as to needs a role models to lead by example. And then when Arjuna asks him what is the one which is pulling us to the doing sinful activities, it's the lust. That is the Vairiniam, enemy for us. So this was the laws of karma he explained in this thing. So what is that thing? Reflection was the karma yoga. Krishna shows how we can worship through the work. So he doesn't tell us to go back to renounce and go to the forest or anything. He's telling us to be in this world, and being in this world, how we can do our prescribed duties, that without getting bonded by that. So that is, if you do it for the Lord, even the simple act of eating, then if you take up to Sankirtana Yajna of today, that is the best one. Chanting will help us. Sankirtana Yajna, Japa meditation. It's not a physical action. It is not a mental, it's something thing, no, it is doing to do your mind and all that. Actually, it is a spiritual action. Okay. So, and it is required for the soul. Once you strengthen the soul, then it is easy to control your mind and senses. That is what it gives us, the spiritual strength. So, and there are a lot of sadhana practices. For this, we need to practice, because anything which you do, anything which you, if you enter a university or a thing, there are certain rules and regulations you have to follow. So same here in the spiritual activity, you need to, there are certain practices, if you can follow, it will be very good. Like we have given up the ABCD practices. A is the association of devotees. Once you are with the association of devotees, then they keep telling you about how the path, because that will help you, because association is very important. Any friends, no, that will they will always bring you into this path. Then the books and scriptures, they are also will help you to gain more knowledge, and they will be acting as a references for you. And chanting is very important. That starts the day with a meditation. Then deity worship is that requires deity worship is like worshipping the Lord with doing puja and all that. Engage in work, because you have to be not to be idle, and you can eat prasada. That is it. So spirituality is required for today. It's not for something to be done when you are old. or when you're when you're in trouble. So that is something we need to adopt in our life, because without that, we'll always be caught in this cycle of birth and death, and always bound up by the reactions of our activities. It might be pious activities or it could be impious activities, but still we'll be caught into that reactions. So spirituality is a must for us even today, because a lot of people are forgetting the God. And so that is what we have to take out today. With this, I stop this. Vancha kalpatru abhyascha kripa sandhu evacha patitam nam pavane bho vaishnavyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'll stop this.